Marble racing has changed. Back in 2014, where we had people like Kerry KH and Jack Sparrow that were the biggest marble race channels at the time, it was a lot simpler. Before this niche was commercialized, it was a bunch of kids and teenagers building their own marble race tracks on this brand new program called Algodoo. There were some successes here and there, but none quite as big as Jelle's marble runs. Now, I like to say I had quite a personal relationship with Jelle for a long time. Not like a fanboy, but someone who worked hard at what they did. Of course, that was before I got ostracized from their platform, but back then, it was a different time. I joined one of their first Discord servers in late 2017. From what I can remember, there were some raiders who impersonated Jelle and spam pornography. I actually still have an email that I sent to Discord during this time. You know, it's early in Jelle's career when he still had his first profile picture and account. The current channel is actually his second after his first one was deleted accidentally. Around this time, there was a hostile takeover that was also taking place where some people with more experience tried their hand at running a server around this time. Back when Jelle had far fewer subscribers, times were a lot simpler. There weren't any big sponsors like ESPN, no significant press coverage, it was just some people playing around with marbles. I joined the marble race scene around late 2016, when I was still trying to find my way on YouTube and especially Algodoo. I was uploading marble races without too much success. One of the first servers I joined was the Hat Store, owned by Doc671. I'll just say it, he was a great guy, along with many others that I talked with, who helped me become who I am today. I was also approached by some people who eventually led me to the server that ultimately became Jelle's current board. More specifically, the International Marble Sports Committee. You probably never heard of it, and that's mainly because it fell out of the radar of what they were doing. According to this article, it was supposed to be a partnership of marble sports creators that seeks to unite them and promote their content around YouTube and around the internet. I was in it, along with many others who would eventually become my close friends. I thought this would change my life, but like those animation scans that were floating around, it didn't. All it was is a bunch of lies and empty promises. As they stated, the purpose of the IMSC was to unite and promote content of marble sports creators to the world. That did eventually happen, but not through the IMSC. That was rendered obsolete when the Jelle's Marble Runs Committee was founded in February 2019. But you know what the IMSC initially promised? Community Marble did just that. During this time, Community Marble was also a server dedicated towards marble races, mainly the Algodoo kind, and has been a lot more successful, being the central hub for the community of Algodoo marble races. It is still active today, and continues to bring in new people, with it currently having over 500 members. The IMSC still exists today, but nobody really takes it seriously anymore. The link at the bottom of the page now just presents you with the official website of Jelle. But the weird thing is, I'm still listed on the Wikia page, despite being banned on the subreddit and no longer being listed as an official member. What's with that? While we're on the topic of partners, there are several people that were former members of the old committee. Jelle's Marble Runs, Marble Fubeca, and MSPN. Keep those people in mind, as they'll be important figures later on. Marble Fubeca, also known as Fubeca's Marble Runs, is a big marble race channel that around the time before Jelle got promoted on major news networks and blogs had similar subscriber numbers to Fubeca, with Jelle having a slight lead. Fubeca did her own thing and had similar videos. They were partners, or at least two people who didn't step on each other's toes. And that makes sense, right? You wouldn't want to hurt a channel who makes similar videos to you. Well, that started to change around the end of 2019. It all started with a tweet by Apex Cards Andy, which reads, "Competition is healthy, guys. It only leads to more views from the YouTube algorithm for you." This was a response to Jelle's tweet voicing their frustrations with marble race copycats on YouTube, to which I find quite confusing. I mean, check out some of the amazing programming skills from Max Marble and Mikan, or Algarox's version of Algiecosathlon, or even mine. We aren't merely copycats anymore, but that's neither here nor there. Back in June of 2019, Fubeca announced that they had changed their name from Marble Fubeca to Fubeca's Marble Runs. Apparently that made Jelle mad, who responded with, "Well, that's not true. They push us down in search results. People use our names in the tags, so a lot of other channels show up. They even changed their name like Fubeca's Marble Runs, so it sounds like ours. Jelle hates that channel for these actions." First off, this statement has some obvious problems to it. They completely ignored traffic gain from suggested and browse features, which suggested the videos being served up on the side of the video you're watching, and browse being the homepage. Let me explain. Having a large base of high-quality marble race channels who upload frequently is actually beneficial to Jelle's channel as they retain more people in this marble race community. What's even worse with Jelle is that they betrayed Fubeca. With some of their more recent actions in the past year, it shows that Jelle thinks that they're better than everyone else. They straight up accused Fubeca of making this change in order to confuse viewers without any evidence whatsoever. Keep in mind, this was before they got popular. when coronavirus caused the mainstream media to pay attention once real sports dried up. You'd think that'd be the end of it, right? Unfortunately, a few months later, they did it all over again. In February, Fubeca released a post announcing a new series called Marble Circuits. However, certain people criticized that it was similar to Marble 1, which was announced a few months ago. This post resulted in people claiming Fubeca as a copycat, implying that Jelle has a monopoly on this type of marble race. Next thing you know, only Jelle's marble runs can make marble races in the style of the Olympics. This response only confirms Jelle's hatred towards him. Fubeca picked up my plan while we were developing it. How to prevent that Fubeca will copycat more things. Fubeca replies to the post trying to defend himself, saying, I already talked directly with Jelle on Facebook, and we came to the conclusion that everything was a great coincidence. Jelle and I have a good relationship now after I helped him get his fans back onto the new channel at his request with publications in my YouTube community. This was a person who helped Jelle out after his account got deleted because of an accident back in late 2018. With all the times that Fubeca and Jelle helped each other promote their videos because of the YouTube algorithm, for Jelle to act in such an ungrateful way to him now is just wrong. They used a mall raiser from Brazil who didn't know any better to further their own career, and once that was finished, kicked him to the curb like any other person. All this is made even more clear in the response to David Wheeler, asking about whether YouTube channels qualify as brands, replying with, well yes, of course. We are also open for collaborations with other YouTubers. For Jelle to push away Fubeca months prior, one of the largest marble race channels at the time, it shows how their actions failed to align with their words. And since then, it's only gotten worse. After burning a bridge with Fubeca's marble runs, you wouldn't think they would do it again, right? Wrong. There was another person who also crossed paths with Jelle months prior, Marble Sports Performance Network. It is similar to ESPN, but for marble races. Fun fact, ESPN actually works with Jelle and features him prominently on the Ocho, a network highlighting non-traditional sports. I guess Jelle is spooked at the idea that ESPN can sign on with another marble race channel at any time. MSPM is most famous for their Not a Marble documentary, which attracted many Marble League fans. This documentary was promoted by the JMR committee, which, if you recall, is owned by Jelle. They were actively promoting this channel. However, 2 weeks after that documentary, Jelle made a statement stating that they would no longer be working with this channel in response to a tweet. We worked together, they did interviews about our marbles, we stopped working with them after they did their own marble races. This statement directly contradicts what MSPN was actually doing during the time, as they were making marble race videos before the documentary was published back in 2018 and continued to do it after the documentary was up. They withhold the truth with a flimsy reason, and neither Jelle nor ESPN formally announced the end of their partnership. This led to unaware viewers believing that Jelle was still working with them despite unofficially cutting ties with them over a year ago. Most worryingly, CKA replied to a tweet by Jelle saying, please, can you allow MSPN to keep making their Marble documentaries as they are really entertaining and they are only doing it because they love your content. This suggests that Jelle is hiding what really happened with MSPN behind the scenes. Considering how they are still posting videos about their more recent Marble Race series, but without assistance from the committee, this is likely the case. As I explained previously, the more Marble Race channels there are, and especially more videos reacting to Jelle's videos, the more frequently they get suggested to each other. This causes the viewers to keep watching marble races, causing everyone to win. Their flawed, almost unsupportable behavior leads us to one of the worst things that Jelle has done today. If that wasn't all enough, we get to me. However, it was their committee who decided to take the shot this time. I was on their server for quite some time, being active and trying to fit in with the other people. Eventually, I got banned from the server for comments that were made in poor taste. Obviously, I've grown since then, many people have, yet there are still attempts to cancel them based off their actions years ago. After that, I decided to do my own thing and just move on from the entire situation. It is quite tiring to go back on your past mistakes, and there is no reason to do so as you can't change what you did in the past. However, while this was happening, they continued to harass and encourage others to do the same for months after the incidents. Even the staff members that were supposed to enforce the rules decided to join in, just because I'm such a bad person for doing something once. The staff can harass and bully anyone they choose without their knowledge, and that's not right. We haven't even talked about the campaigns that attempted to deplatform me by weaponizing a member's death when they were suffering. At best, it's negligence. At worst, it's just incompetence. All this has taught us that Jelle has failed to keep the board from doing the exact same thing he does, and they deserve to do the exact same thing to people smaller than Fubeca and MSPN. He has shown that at any time, anyone who gets on his bad side can be attacked for any reason. I know many marble racers who wouldn't be able to handle what I and some others have been at the target of. It has happened before. When the dust finally settled, I didn't think that Jelle was maliciously doing this at first, but that quickly changed when I tried to contact them and got stonewalled. It's simply distasteful how a channel who has over 1 million subscribers can believe that they're this entitled, when a few years ago they were part of that community. Fame and money has gotten to the head of Jelle, who thinks that they can do whatever they want without consequences. This isn't only more apparent since COVID-19. It's just sickening and immoral. And I'm afraid that they're using their board as a way to further their cause of shutting down anything they deem a threat. You knew this was happening, that this was wrong, and that you were hurting people. But you chose to push it under the rug. And why should you address it? You have multiple convenient articles being written about you, a talk show host literally endorsing your channel, and hundreds of supporters that actively pay for your lifestyle. Who cares if some random person's being hurt by your own influence? I mean, it's perfectly reasonable to push away your closest partner and label him as a competitor just because they happen to share a similar name and ideas. This toxic culture has to stop. It's completely unethical to allow people you indirectly supported with your committee to do this sort of stuff to smaller creators. And that's just sad. According to this article from The Decider in 2016, your About page during this time stated that you had autism and that you used moral races as an escape for your mental disorder. And take a look at this. You hear that, mavens of the Marvel Industrial Complex? Jelle cannot be bought. How have times changed, huh? I understand being noticed for the first time can bring a sense of joy, but using it to justify being above the community is just unethical. Even all the brand deals and numbers does not justify what you did to get there. We need to hold our favorite creators to a higher standard. We can't blindly ignore their shady actions against fellow creators who just want to have fun. We do not deserve this level of harassment and abuse just to give someone a few more dollars in their bank account. If we want to get taken seriously and have real change, we have to speak up and show why this matters to us. This is not what I imagined what marble racing would be, not what my friends thought marble racing would be, and certainly not what you would think marble racing would be, Jelle. I'll leave you with one thing. For all the people that were impacted by the psychological abuse from Jelle's actions, I just hope that by sharing my story, no one has to ever experience being taken advantage of like this ever again.